Friends, we are live. Rusty back with you here. Great to see you for CFLW, the show for this Monday, August the 18th. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Another weekend where we had some storms crop up and produce some locally heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. Obviously, a big story this week is going to be Major Hurricane Erin and its close enough proximity to our East Coast to bring in some coastal hazards, to bring us some kind of squally, breezy conditions beginning tomorrow over the next couple of days. I'm going to break down everything that we expect out of Erin in the area. Again, nothing direct, but close enough and a large enough storm. Very impressive. And again, obviously, it's been a beast up to a Category 5 for a time. So let's get started. As always, CFLW is sponsored by the lead law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. Storm moves into your area, get damage of any kind. So wind, hail, hurricane, even a burst pipe. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. As always, love to hear from you guys in the chat. How's everyone doing today? Hey, Nancy Wedgefield in the house. Good afternoon to you as well. It's a hot forecast again for today. Fairly cloudy already, so it's really trapping in the humidity. Feels like temperatures are already pretty darn hot, with temperatures locally upper 80s to the lower 90s. Hey, Jesse, good afternoon from Spring Hill, 91 degrees. Yeah, beginning to see a couple of really spotty showers developing. We'll take a look at those as well. Hey, Amy, how are you today? Hope you're doing well in Ormond Beach. And Blue Goose, friend of the channel, back in the house from St. Augustine, 90 degrees. 72% humidity as well. So a couple of showers are beginning to develop. Look, it's a moisture-laden atmosphere. Nothing is really organized at this point in time. And just underneath some of this thicker cloud coverage, we're getting spots of rain. Now, you know, later in the afternoon hours, these will congeal and the sea breezes will come together and we'll get some showers and storms to develop, and still could see an isolated stronger storm, locally heavy rainfall, you know, gusty winds. If they don't move very much, you can get some, you know, again, flooding of urban areas and low-lying areas. That's still a possibility for today. But again, no severe organized weather is expected across our area. And again, a couple of spotty showers, citrus portions of Hernando, back into Sumter, right along the west coast. The US 19 corridor, and even right towards the coastline of Citrus, Hernando, and Pasco counties, even back down in Pinellas County right now. A couple of scattered showers beginning to develop. Tarpon Springs, Palm Harbor, Oldsmar, on over towards Clearwater itself. Little shower there near Town and Country on the north side of the Tampa area towards Carrollwood. So yes, there is some rain at this point in time. Even more spotty showers back into the eastern sections of our area as well. Inland Volusia County, west of I-95, a couple of showers up 415 towards Osteen and the Lake Aspey Shores area. Noting a couple of spotty showers again, southern sides of Merritt Island, crossing the rivers, Rockledge and Cocoa areas, the Erin North, all with a spotty opportunity. There is nothing organized, but there is probably 30 to 50 little rogue showers beginning to develop at the hour. This is what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery for you right now. And again, it's just a cloudy afternoon, and that will be the case as moisture-laden air. And, you know, as Erin throws in a little bit more tropical moisture our way, we're going to get more showers. Now, notice that both sea breezes are active for today. Showers are developing in the eastern Gulf and beginning to move into the US 19 corridor. Showers are developing across I-95, US 1 and A1A, and beginning to work their way inland. So we are more than likely going to get a convergence of our sea breezes in interior locations later today, which promote some scattered showers and storms. And we'll talk about those and where I expect there to be the highest opportunity coming up. And also, we'll take a look at how obviously rain chances are going to be impacted by Erin. All right, so let's get into that. This is a story I want to talk about here. So I'm going to bring up our big perspective here. And just the concentric circles that you guys see, by the way, are just the wind fields, the estimated wind fields. So your light blues are going to be your tropical storm force winds that are sustained. And just to be very clear, at this point in time, there is nothing that points to us having a direct impact by the winds from Erin. This is staying far enough away from our area. Now, you know, look, can things change? Absolutely. Do I think that they're going to change and get close enough where we really have to concern ourselves with what Erin is as a monster major hurricane? The answer is no. All right. Again, more coastal impacts, more beach impacts than anything else, not only for our area, but for the East Coast of the United States in general. So this is what Erin looks like right now on infrared satellite imagery. It went through an eye wall replacement cycle yesterday, and it's really beginning to just emerge from that. We have a very small eye at this point in time. You notice the lightning right near the center. The convection is beginning to ramp back up. You know, Erin is getting stronger and stronger again. Winds back up to 140, at this point in time. They have issued tropical storm warnings for the southeast, Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos, and then a tropical storm watch. Those are the slash blue lines for the central Bahamas. Now, we do have, or there are two sensors in the Caicos, one in the West Caicos, one on Grand Turk. Both of those went offline yesterday. You guys know how it is in the islands. Their infrastructure is just not as hardened, right? It's very easy to lose power, very easy to lose internet in these areas. So unfortunately, we don't have the live weather data out of Turks and Caicos that we normally do. This is San Salvador Island in the central Bahamas, and that's the wind gusts in miles an hour. This is what it looks like on visible satellite imagery as well. Again, the high-res visible satellite imagery. The biggest story with Erin is that it expanding in size, okay? That's the biggest takeaway. So now you don't have to be as close to the center of circulation to start to see greater wind impacts, because the wind field is expanding as Hurricane Erin is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, it's a Cat 4 hurricane. This is the official track for the National Hurricane Center. All the models that I've looked at this morning haven't really deviated from this. Could there be a slight jog west? It's a possibility, closer to the left-hand line that you guys see. But again, the buffer between us and the storm is still hundreds and hundreds of miles. If we take a direct path from the Brevard County area out to the far western envelope of the models right now, and this is the cone of uncertainty, we've still got about 350 miles to play with, okay? Now, you start to get closer to seeing potential tropical storm impacts if this were to nudge a little bit more west than that, because that wind field is going to get expansive. But the biggest story and the largest impacts for the entire western Atlantic basin is going to be the huge waves and the rough surf and sea conditions that Erin is going to bring from our west coast all the way up towards North Carolina, and potentially, if it holds close enough to the coastline, even to the New England coastline. Places like Cape Cod could be impacted by gale conditions as well. Bring on what we call the sandwich here. This is your visible and infrared satellite imagery together, so you can kind of see a little bit of depth with this as well. Now, when I did the Media Mundo video yesterday on my channel, there was more conjecture about this track than I expected, right? As far as, it's going due west, or it's not gaining north latitude. If I show you guys the track that it has taken, and this is the historical track, right? It is gaining north latitude. From time to time, it jogs a little bit west or wobbles a little bit west. But again, these storms don't go on straight lines. We like to paint a nice straight line on this map, but these storms stair step as the eye kind of wobbles around the center. And so you get these. But obviously, this is gaining north latitude. It actually missed the Turks and Caicos by the exact margin that the Hurricane Center had it, about 115 miles. That was always their projected path, was to move north and east of Grand Turk by about 115 miles, and that's exactly what it did. And again, as the storm expands, and you can clearly see the expansion here on the west side, the southeast Bahamas and the central Bahamas are just getting more and more in line with the potential for sustained tropical storm force conditions. That's the biggest takeaway, what Erin is doing right now. But it should still get picked up by this weakness in the trough between a building ridge of high pressure in the south central United States and kind of building into the southeast and on the western periphery of the Bermuda High. And I've really seen nothing to change that thought in the short term for us. Hi, Farah, how you doing? Hey, Therese. Good to see everyone for today. Appreciate you guys jumping into the chat. Thanks for taking a quick second and liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to CFLW if you haven't as of yet. Again, we do these 2 live shows a week, Monday and Friday at 1 o'clock, so I can give you guys my thoughts on the weather ahead. This show typically covers the Monday through Friday forecast. Friday is Friday and the weekend, but if there's big things like a major hurricane not too far away from us. We're going to obviously cover that for you guys as well. Now, look, there are going to be some impacts for our East Coast. So let's get into that. The first thing I'm going to do here is bring up the advisories that are currently into play, okay? So you would imagine that we're going to have some kind of beach hazards and rip current statement. And that's what we already have right now. So just so you guys know, this is basically from now until Thursday evening, a high risk of rip currents. You know, they just have to issue this because they're basically saying, don't be stupid enough to get in the waters, okay? Then you're gonna have small craft advisories for both the near shore and the offshore waters. Obviously, there's a difference in the wave heights right now. You've got seas here off the Brevard County coast out to 20 nautical miles, which are gonna be 6 to 8 feet, but building to 8 to 11 feet on Wednesday. Those are the near shore waters. The offshore waters are going to be 8 to 11 feet, peaking to 11 to 14. So double-digit wave heights within 20 nautical miles of our coast. If you go up to Flagler County's coastline, up to St. John's, you're going to be about the same scenario here. 6 to 11, it's a little bit less, but not much more. And obviously gusty winds, 30 to 40 knot winds will accompany this. And then in the offshore waters, you're going to get 9 to 14 foot waves out there as well. So, you know, these could turn into small craft warnings. They're just advisories right now. These could turn into gale watches and warnings as well, just depending on the kind of wind that we could get out of this. But again, these concentric circles of sustained tropical storm force conditions are still expected to stay fairly far away from our East Coast. But squally weather, breezy conditions along the coastline are absolutely, you know, likely, and that will begin in earnest tomorrow and then throughout the day on Thursday. Erin is slowing down, by the way, as well. So it's going to, you know, lose some forward speed as it tries to split the difference between North Carolina and Bermuda, right? This is about the best case scenario. When you look at this, we call this the Goldilocks track. And what I mean by that is you can't basically buy with a major hurricane a better track than what Erin has done, right? Avoiding the Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and then turning before directly impacting Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, and our East Coast. And we hope that this track plays out. Obviously, it's a situation I'm going to keep a very close eye on for you guys. So looking at the biggest impacts for our area, I want to show you guys this graphic. This is Erin's wave heights. These are the significant wave heights. This is a very slow loop from now until early on Thursday. If you look at the bottom of your screen, and again, I'm just so bad at that sometimes. Unfortunately here, I've got the lower third, and I always have to remember that for this channel compared to BD Mundo. I've got it right over your legend. Let me break this down for you. When you get into yellows, those are 10-foot wave heights or higher. When you get into the reds, you're at 20, to the maroons into 30-foot waves, and to that fuchsia color, 50-foot waves. Now, this is the close-up view of our East Coast, but just off of this map, there are some fuchsias out there. We are expecting at least 50-foot significant wave heights from Erin, okay? But that's not even the largest waves it's going to produce. There is the opportunity for rogue waves to be at or above 100 foot in height. Can you believe that? It is absolutely possible. Hurricane Dorian did the same thing. It produced significant wave heights of at least 50 feet and some rogue wave heights, which went above 100 feet. So you're not going to get, you know, 100-foot waves over a large area, but a rogue wave that could develop and be triple digits in height, feet-wise, is not out of the question. So this is life-threatening sea conditions, surf conditions, rip current conditions across all of our East Coast, right? And again, depending on how close Erin gets to the United States East Coast and hugs, this could go all the way up to New England as well. But it gets worse and worse the farther north that you go, and obviously into the offshore waters. But the waves that a major hurricane can produce are astronomical, and with Erin expanding, right, the entire Western Atlantic basin falls under these significant waves. Well, Erin is expected to answer Rusty's question. Is Erin going to veer and dissipate in the North Atlantic? Erin is forecast to kind of split between Bermuda and North Carolina, and then pull away from the United States East Coast, and obviously as it gets farther north in latitude, it's going to be hitting cooler sea surface temperatures, more wind shear, and it will dissipate. So yes, the northern Atlantic is a possibility here. Significant wave heights, 49.5 according to Ventusky weather map. Well, that's what I've got too, right? So those fuchsias, which are just off this map, are 50-foot wave heights. And again, significant waves are different than peak waves, right? So these are more the kind of sustained waves within Erin. And it's absolutely plausible you get 40 to 50 significant wave heights going along with this storm, which, by the way, is likely to strengthen again coming up here in the next 24 hours or so as it's undergone that eyewall replacement cycle and looks pretty darn good as well. Nancy, I'm not worried too much about flooding in Brevard County. We could still get some locally heavy rainfall, but to have widespread significant flooding, I'm not expecting that because these are going to be more squally, fast-moving showers. There'll be a lot of wind. There'll be a lot of breeze the next couple of days, just not tropical storm in nature as far as sustained winds. So, overall, I'm not expecting there to be any flooding, but there will be elevated tides. There will be some beach hazards. So this is the coastal impacts I have for our East Coast, starting tomorrow through Thursday. First of all, near shore, we are going to get some breakers of around 5 to 8 feet, okay? Life-threatening rip currents. There's absolutely no reason to be trying to swim the next several days. The surfers, I wish you the best, man, but it's a dangerous scenario out there. Minor beach and dune erosion is possible in some areas, right? We'll have elevated tides, so that could lead to some of that. The boating hazards I've already mentioned. Seas near shore are going to be 6 to 9 feet and building. And then seas offshore, as you get closer to the Gulf Stream, are going to be 9 to 14 feet. So small craft are going to want to remain in port. Even the larger vessels are going to want to be very, very cautious. Even yesterday, there was already one cruise ship, which was supposed to be in Bermuda, and they're at Port Canaveral right now, right? There is no shipping and no cruise ship that want to get anywhere near this storm. The wave heights are going to be astronomical with that, right? So again, for us, these are our beach hazards, boating hazards. As far as any flooding, not really concerned that Erin is going to produce significant areas of flooding. Obviously, it's going to be throwing more tropical moisture into our area, which could enhance the sea breezes and produce some locally heavy rain, right? I mean, look, we've had, the last couple of days, right? We're just at a pattern where outside of Erin having any influence on us, we get slow moving storms and some heavier rainfall. That is still a possibility here. I'm going to go back. Just want to do this real quick, guys. No, don't hit that button, Rusty. That's like the kill switch button. But no, I don't expect there to be that scenario. So, okay, just looking at Erin one more time, because it's such an impressive storm, right? You can see the lightning developing here. You can see that even on the western flank now, they're beginning to get some lightning. Hey, we just got the Keiko's sensor to come back online. This had literally been down since yesterday morning. So they've had a wind gust here, 46 miles an hour. So they must have just gotten power back to this sensor. So this is 105 today, a west wind at gusting to 46. So there you go. And again, they're on the back end of the storm, so they would be getting west winds, and eventually those winds will turn southwest and south. But there's your, tropical storm conditions right now in Turks and Caicos, which is why they're under that tropical storm warning. But again, that sensor had been down for over 12 hours. And even back down into the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo's had a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust here a little bit earlier in the day. Watch that number pop up and go to 40. Thought I saw it go to 40. Yeah, maybe not. Still breezy conditions as well here. Now look, you see this orange area. We're not going to talk too much about it on the channel, but please be aware that there is already a tropical wave that looks pretty darn impressive, and it's already a 50% chance of development. And mid to late this week, we are more than likely going to get another storm. We're more than likely going to get the 6th named storm of the season named Ferdinand. And this one is taking what could potentially be a very similar track to Erin, at least initially, potentially a little bit lower latitude. The development area goes all the way down towards Barbados. Erin's was up here. So this could have more direct impacts to the Eastern Caribbean and the Lesser and the Greater Antilles in general. And from there, it's too far out to talk anything more about. But please be aware that, for Friday's show, I think we're going to probably have another developing system, if not already a named storm, and one that will bear a lot of close watching for next week ahead. A little bit, Chessie, a little bit. Yeah, there's going to be more fuel. It's going under the eyewall replacement cycle as well, and it emerged from that just fine. The environmental conditions are good for the next 24 to 36 hours. Notice that the Hurricane Center, and again, you can see the plots on my map, do have it, really actually the strongest it's going to be is in the next 12 hours up to 145, gust to 173, and then slowly beginning to fade back down. Now, the times that you see are not the forecast times, it's the initial time of this. I wish that this system gave like the forecast track time, but it's just the initial. But you get the idea on these plot points. So when you get to this 3 here, you're back down to a Cat 3, and then remaining a Cat 3 even through, getting close to North Carolina, Bermuda, kind of high-end Cat, low-end Cat 3, high-end Cat 2. But again, we want to split that difference and keep things offshore. So let's talk about our local forecast a little bit more. I think we've covered Erin pretty well. Again, scattered showers, a few rumbles of thunder outside for you at the hour. As you guys know, we have live cameras here at CFLW, so I love to show you those. This is a live look outside to Winter Garden in the western side of Orange County, and this is looking off towards some of those showers developing along the immediate west coast, but you can clearly see a little bit of building cloud coverage at the hour, building heights to some of those clouds. It's nothing but blue sky right now in Winter Garden. Now, earlier in the day, it was relatively overcast, but for the brief time we've cleared things out. But obviously that's letting things get hotter and letting the lower levels of the atmosphere warm up a little bit more, which again could ultimately lead to some stronger storms later in the day. To Conway we go from the southeast side of Orlando, looking back off towards the east. Again, we're looking towards the east coast where we've had a couple of spotty showers. You can see the elevated cloud bases right now. Everything's still relatively detached, meaning that there's no threat for anything to really get going in the next short-term hour or two. Eventually these storms will fire up. But if we're going to get anything out of this cloud coverage, it's the very light passing showers that you guys saw on the radar earlier. Nothing is imminent to really get going more than that. Again, a little bit of darker clouds here looking back off towards the south and to the west. There's actually one little rogue thunderstorm or just a developing storm on the south side of Sumter County. But this is exactly where that camera is looking in the distance, and you can see some of that in the camera. Now, I told you guys that, part of what we wanted to do here in CFLW was continue to expand our camera network, and that we had that in the works. Well, I am happy to show you guys and introduce you to a new camera here to help tell the weather story. This is a live look to Winter Park in central Orange County, or central Orlando area to the north. Beautiful camera, beautiful shot. We're going to call this the Lean Law camera for our friends at Lean Law. I'll take myself off camera. This is looking slightly south of east. So it's just another perspective to help tell the weather story here. So live look to Winter Park. I told you guys, if you're supporters of the channel, we're going to take that support and reinvest it back into the channel. And that's what we've done, getting the equipment to produce this camera for you guys in Winter Park. And obviously we have more and more expansion plans. So for those of you who have, supported the channel through the super thanks or through the links in the description in the video below, I appreciate you guys. And this is the fruition of that support, is to bring you guys more and more cameras. So now we have just another arsenal in our tool when thunderstorms begin to develop, to be able to show you guys this live look from the Winter Park area here in Central Florida. All right, so let's get back into what's been going on. So now we've got 4 live cameras and others on the way that I'm happy to show you guys with that. All right, forecast model time. As I look at the clock, it's already 1:26. All right, let's go over to our HER model. Pop this puppy up, and we can take a look at a couple of different things with the HER model. We're going to take our time with this one and look at the wind impacts as well. So let me bring this up. Might just take 1 second here. For some reason, the back end part of this was not set for the HER model, which I don't understand why. No big deal. Okay, so we'll let this loop up through Wednesday morning. Obviously, this is a high resolution model, but it does extend far enough out, the grid does here, its domain as we call it, to catch Erin, all right? So this is a high resolution model. Now look, is it the best tropical model? No. It's not, but it can have a handle on the overall system. I want to be clear, you know, from this HURR model, it is literally up the center line from the track from the Hurricane Center over the next, you know, 36 plus hours here, right? So that's good. You know, we don't see any big deviation on our HURR model from the storm, but you do notice that it begins to expand. And, you know, the models have a tough time with these storms that are expanding like this sometimes, especially with the wind fields, right, and the wave heights. It's just more expansive, but we can start to see these squalls as we get into tomorrow night and Wednesday. These far, far outer westerly feeder bands really get close to the coast. And regardless of that, you know, being influenced directly by the outermost western feeder bands of Erin, there's a lot of tropical moisture and push onshore along the I-95 corridor. So we are going to get some very breezy conditions. We're going to get some squalls beginning to move back in. Again, it's not going to be persistent, and it's not generally going to be enough to cause any big flooding issues or anything like that, but breezy showers and storms is the forecast over the next several days. So let's take a look at what's going to be happening today. Now, no influence from Erin today. East Coast, West Coast sea breezes begin to march inland. We will generally see the East Coast sea breeze push farther inland. The West Coast sea breeze will make its way onshore, but will be pinned a little bit more along the coast. So I am expecting our central and western areas with the best chance for storms for this afternoon and evening. So places like Marion County, Ocala, our friends in the Villages, Eustis, Umatilla, Yohala, Leesburg, in Lake County, Coleman, Lake Pan, Sumter County, Christian River, Inverness, Homosassa Springs and Citrus County, Spring Hill area there, in Hernando County, back down towards Dade City and Zephyr Hills, in Pasco County, and then again back into Hillsborough, Pinellas, portions of Manatee and Sarasota counties. Eventually these storms might push a little bit more inland, especially in our far southern areas, and we could get a few more thunderstorms redeveloping across portions of Orange and Seminole counties as well, kind of a little bit deeper into the evening. So we'll have good solid coverage of storms again for today. Main threat's going to be winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour, maybe some smaller sized hail. And if the storms don't move much, obviously you can get some heavy localized rain. So 2 to maybe 4+ inches of rain. From time to time, we've had a flood advisory here, right? We've had no severe thunderstorm warnings, but we've had 1 or 2 special weather statements for winds of, again, 40 to 50 and some small hail. Most of that is not destructive in any nature, right? But the heavier rainfall could lead to some localized flooding of low-lying areas and some urban areas as well. Now, what's the difference along the East Coast? Because of that onshore breeze continuing, we could still have a couple of showers along the East Coast even tomorrow morning. So as you wake up along I-95 to tomorrow morning, and you look off towards the east, we could have some showers imminently beginning to spiral their way back in. Is there the opportunity that there could be a funnel cloud, right, in the nearshore waters? Absolutely. Does that mean that there's a tornado threat? I think it is very low, but it's not zero. These storms, especially if we can get the outermost western feeder bands of Erin to move closer to our area late Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll have some inherent rotation with them. They always do. So they always bear watching. Now, the interesting thing is for your Tuesday, we actually get a little bit more of a north wind. So we actually dry out a little bit tomorrow. We're not going to have as widespread showers and storms on Tuesday. We're going to favor our western areas for that. So again, Citrus, Hernando, Pasco, especially back down towards Pinellas and Hillsborough, in Manatee and Sarasota counties, you have the best chance for showers and storms right along I-75, US 19, 275 for your Tuesday afternoon and evening. If I show you guys this over to the model here, and I bring up our wind vectors. All right, hang on a second. Don't do that. There we go. I'll make these a little bit bigger for you guys to see. And I'll loop this up. Are we good on the stream? We are still streaming, right? Okay. Just wanted to make sure it was like paused for a second on my tablet. Got some Superman conversation going on too, huh? Yeah, Blue Goose, I think you're close. I think you're close to getting a little bit of that, right? It's very peripheral, right, from what we would get out of Erin, but it's not out of the question that we could catch a little bit of its outer bands coming in, right? And again, that's what it looks like on this HUR model. These are your surface winds, but as of note, what I really wanted to bring out of this is tomorrow, you notice that our winds are much more out of the north. It's actually going to pull in slightly drier air tomorrow overall, so rain and storm chances for your Tuesday will not be as prominent for tomorrow. And then eventually, again, this is 8 a.m. on your Wednesday morning, you start to see the outermost feeder bands of what is still a major hurricane beginning to brush our coastline. And obviously that's coming with the elevated sea conditions and the elevated winds as well. Speaking of the winds, let's loop those up. Hello, hello. You guys just having your own conversation out there. I appreciate that. Lets me know you guys aren't concerned about Erin, which is glad, because man, some of the Media Mundo folks in the comments, it was like trying to put out fires. But this is the HUR model winds out of Erin, gusts, okay? So you can clearly see following the center line, not deviating too far west. Again, not the greatest tropical model, but it works. And then towards the end of this period, as we get into Wednesday morning, right, which is as far out as the model will take us, just to show you guys, there's kind of these gusts. First of all, if you live along our East Coast, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, you should expect there to be gusts very, very frequently of 20, 25, 30 miles an hour. And then the question is, do some of these higher winds that are a little bit offshore, if we draw this line to this 50 here, we're 85 miles offshore, so we still have plenty of buffer. Do the 30 to 40 mile an hour winds get a little bit closer to the coast during the day on Wednesday, right? It really just depends not so much on if Erin pushes farther west, but how much more this wind field expands, okay? How big the storm really gets, because obviously if the storm continues to expand, you don't have to be as close to the center to feel more persistent impacts from that. But we're gonna get windy, we're gonna get breezy here the next couple of days. Let's switch over to the NAM real quick. It's just another model for you guys to see. It does go out a little bit farther in time. Again, you guys have specific questions about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. While you're down there, thank you so much for taking a quick second and liking and subscribing. Appreciate those who have also supported the channel via the super thanks and other ways. Again, your support of the channel directly goes back to help us continue to expand, such as our camera network and other improvements here on the channel as well. So appreciate you guys. Again, NAM model is going to take just a little bit of time here to get with these arrows, but very impressive. Erin coming out of this. I'm not even sure I've ever seen a pink arrow out of that. That's outrageously strong. So this is a completely different model. It's still, at least in the short term, within the cone of uncertainty. So if you start hearing anyone talking about like it's making a due west turn to us, ignore it. If there's any significant deviation, I'll come back on live and we will talk about this live. You guys know I've got you covered there. I mentioned again, it's not out of the question that we slip to the left-hand side of this, but that's still several hundred miles of buffer for us. But you can just see how this storm expands and expands and expands over time. So if we get to the end of this, and this is Wednesday afternoon, now the NAM model is pushing these winds of 25-ish or so near the coast. But you still have to go out pretty far to get these winds of 35 or higher. And I'm just curious. I don't even know if the model can handle it. So the funny thing about it is that it's picking up the eye very clearly, where obviously you have no wind. But the NAM model peak is 109, and it actually is, it's pinging above that. All of this black is above the model's, what I can show you, number. Notice how just all is 109. Anyway, super expansive storm. Far western edge of our envelope here, but still well outside of any big concerns for us. So again, 25 gusts, 30 to 35 from time to time is not out of the question. So I do have some city by city forecasts to show you guys here real quick. We'll start off. It's going to be all East Coast. So again, beach hazards tomorrow through Thursday, breakers 5 to 8, life-threatening rip currents, boaters, find shelter, stay in port, don't swim, minor beach and dune erosion. Boating hazards 6 to 9 foot nearshore waters, 9 to 14 foot offshore waters. Right now there's small craft advisories. At least for the offshore waters, they'll likely be upgraded to small craft warnings, but I think both nearshore and offshore waters will be upgraded to small craft warnings. Could even get some gale warnings issued as well, just depending on how that wind field plays out. For Palm Coast, 50% chance for showers and storms tomorrow. Again, a little bit drier overall. 25 mile an hour wind gusts passing showers and storms. 25 mile an hour winds again for Wednesday. And, you know, just very gusty showers and storms sweeping inland from time to time. And these areas all along the East Coast could have multiple rounds of showers and a rumble of thunder each and every day tomorrow through Thursday as this moisture just comes inland with that onshore breeze. You know, relatively stormy on Wednesday, and then Thursday, I think it's the biggest impact late Wednesday, Thursday, with the all-day rain and isolated thunderstorm chances, more tropical downpours in store for Palm Coast, and again, rumbles of thunder, upper 80s to right around 94 daytime high. In Daytona Beach, I wish it was going to be this sunny as this picture shows, but it is going to be a fairly gray forecast ahead. Again, still drier tomorrow, but still very blustery. Gusts 25, 30 miles an hour, up to 30 to 35 on Wednesday. Better shower and storm chances, again, kind of squally weather beginning to move in on Wednesday. And then an all-day rain chance again on Thursday afternoon. They're all day Thursday, but a little bit more heightened on Thursday afternoon. But showers should be developing even in the morning hours of Thursday. And again, even along, you know, our coast here, it's upper 80s to lower 90s, and morning lows that will only stay in the upper 70s. So very warm there. And in Melbourne and Brevard County, morning low tomorrow is 80 degrees. 40% chance for a shower. Breezy, again, a few squalls coming in a little bit farther south along the coast. We'll have a little bit more impact for tomorrow. Closer proximity to Erin overall. Then we'll start to see these, you know, gusts pick up late tomorrow and on Wednesday for Melbourne Beach and Satellite Beach and in the Atlantic and the Cape and Mico and Barefoot Bay, places like that. It just becomes kind of a, you know, very, very blustery forecast for us here, especially throughout the day on Wednesday and early on Thursday, where again, numerous showers and some thunderstorms are likely to be pushing inland. And it's a very hot forecast here, very muggy conditions, temperatures in the lower 90s there in Melbourne, morning lows upper 70s to the lower 80s. Okay, back out to our computer. Does anyone have any specific questions about the forecast? Please drop it in the comments section below. This again is a live look outside to the showers at the hour. Let's take a look. This was the one that I mentioned that we could pick up from our camera. Nothing out of that lightning wise as well. We are beginning to get a couple of lightning strikes across US 19 just west of Spring Hill. Again, these are marching inland, so Chessie, you live in Spring Hill, you're likely to catch at least a little bit of shower activity out of that. Developing thunderstorm again, Pinellas County, western sides of Hillsborough, so Northdale, Carrollwood, Citrus Park area, Town and Country, Palm Harbor. Nice little thunderstorm over the South Clearwater area, Indian Rocks Beach and Largo down towards Cibolo. This will be again all pushing off towards the east at the hour. Still relatively dry in Manatee and Sarasota counties. We're just kind of dotting the landscape in interior locations right now, but ultimately beginning to build the coverage in our western third, so portions of Marion County, northern Sumter and Lake. Again, a couple of showers near the Villages at the hour if you're playing any golf this afternoon in the Villages. Keep an eye out, at any point in time, this could start to produce a little bit of lightning in the area. Spotty showers for interior Flagler County, northern and interior sections of Volusia County. Again, spotty shower at the hour east of De Leon Springs and DeLand. Still mainly dry in the metro Orlando area. We've had a couple of showers here in Brevard County. They haven't added up to much, but again, all of this will generally push east, meet the west coast sea breeze, and then the thunderstorms will become more prolific in those areas this afternoon. All right, friends, I think that's going to do it for this live stream. Obviously, I'm keeping a really close eye on these storms for you guys and on Major Hurricane Erin, situated right here. Again, still expected to bring a tremendous amount of wave action to the Western Atlantic Basin. But at this point in time, I think we're threading this needle pretty well right now, keeping the hurricane conditions off of any of the islands and the United States East Coast. Obviously, if there's impactful weather here in Central Florida over the next couple of afternoons, I'll be back on live to cover it for you. If anything deviates with Major Hurricane Erin and we have more direct impacts to our area, I'll jump on live and I'll cover that for you guys. And if nothing else, I'll see you for the next edition of CFLW, the show for Friday at 1 p.m. As we leave, I appreciate all of my friends in the chat jumping in and saying hi. I appreciate you guys taking a quick second, hitting that like and subscribe button, helping to support the channel in all those ways. Thanks for sharing this with your family and friends as well. Anyone you think can get anything out of this channel, I appreciate that support. You guys have a great rest of your day. Obviously, I'll be back on live if I need to, covering local storms and the tropics for you guys. Until then, you take care. I'll see you soon.